administration. The minister said that the NPP has completed more e-blocks than the NDC administration.
But what do you have to say to critics who say that you have abandoned most of the e-blocks? Is that really the case?
I don't think e-block is a subject of the discussion, but suffice it to say that we've completed more e-blocks than the government that started the e-blocks. But I tell you this, it's not about politics. It's about how do we change Ghana. If the government has done something good, say they have done something good and you are to improve it. E-blocks, great edifice. When you put it at the right place. If you put an e-block in Accra, it's the best place to put e-block. Students will flock into them. Domiko Abenya is full. But the same cannot be said at about the e-block in the middle of the jungle. The e-block at Adanse Apeja. I was directed by the president to add dormitory. And after we added the dormitory, then we could open Adanse Apeja. And now the school have over 500 students because there's dormitory. If you make it a day school, you are at most going to get 20 students who just come from Adanse Apeja. So it is a good thing. But in some places, it was wrongly implemented. And what we are doing now at, if you go to Nsaura, we've added dormitory. A number of places across the country, we are adding dormitory blocks to the day schools so that it will become a full-fledged boarding facility to serve Ghanaians.
Right, so let's stay on this subject a while longer. Joining us on phone is the Member of Parliament for Bulsa South, Dr. Clement Apak, and he's also the Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee in Parliament. Doc, a very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on News 360.
Yes, good evening to you and good evening.
Right. The Education Minister has touched on the issue of e-blocks, indicating that one, the NDC was haphazard in how they came up with these e-blocks because he says some of them have been placed in the middle of the jungle. Is that an assertion you would agree with, considering the fact that as of the time, the NDC was in a hurry to complete over 200 of them?
Well, first of all, I don't know of any e-block that has been located in a jungle. If the minister can be specific and to let me know which jungle an e-block has been built in, then we can have a conversation. Look, we must all agree that policies are developed and implemented based on a need. And the e-block concept clearly was a well thought out policy. The reason is that whilst we understood that in the urban areas, in places like Domiko Abenya and what have you, there would be a ready student population to operationalize the e-blocks. We also understood that in cases where the communities had given government land that was outside of the townships, we would have to provide the needed logistics to allow for students to be conveyed daily to the schools to receive teaching and to learn and to be brought back to the towns. So as a matter of fact, every e-block that was commissioned was assigned a bus and a pickup. And so when the minister makes these types of outlandish and untruthful statements, one can only describe his outburst as symptomatic.
Okay, Mr. Apak, Dr. Apak, so should it be my understanding from what you're saying that out of the 200 that the NDC wanted to put up, you were able to complete about 30, and you say that for all the ones that were commissioned, a bus and a pickup were made available to help with administration staff. Is that it?
We didn't complete 30, we completed more than 30. But even the current running list of the NPP flag bearer, what he took over as Minister for Education, publicly indicated at the time that 46 had been completed.
46. Okay, so let's say it was 46. So all the 46 that were commissioned had buses and pickups allocated to them. Okay.
I know this as a fact because one was built, completed, and commissioned in my constituency.
Okay. And
currently the Kanjara Senior High School. And for the commissioning, I saw the bus and I saw the pickup, and I can tell you that the bus and the pickup are still there at this.
Okay, Doc, the Education Minister also concedes that the E-block concept was a fantastic idea. He supports it 100%. However, he thinks that, for instance, he has had to be given orders to put up a boarding facility beside some of them to make it operational because of the distance of the location of these facilities. Do you agree that maybe in some of the instances the distance might be a challenge for communities that were supposed to benefit from it?
Well, that is not new. I can tell you that even whilst we were still in office, the case was made in some instances that given where the schools catered, and particularly so because those communities were a lot more traditional and didn't have sufficient private accommodation where even in the case of the masters, they could rent to stay. And in the case of the students, some were from a lot more distant communities than the provided vehicles could fly. We have even considered augmenting select E-blocks with those facilities to ensure that they were fully utilized. But that is not strange because policy implementation is subject to review.
Right.
And it is within the same spirit that we have criticized the deficiencies in the implementation of the current pre-senior school policy. Okay. That doesn't mean we are opposed to it, but we are pointing out some deficiencies after some time has passed. So that we can collectively address those deficiencies. So it is not entirely new for somebody to look at a policy that is being implemented for some time.
Right. And Doc, as a member of the, and this is my final question, as a member of the Education Committee in Parliament, the deputy ranking, has it come to the attention of the committee that the NPP government has completed more E-blocks than the NDC did? Because that's one of the arguments of the Education Minister, that under their administration they've completed more of the ones, some of them that you started, they've completed it compared to the numbers that you're talking about 46. Has that come to the attention of the committee?
No, and I think it is a blatant untruth. I think the only way to settle this matter is to let the media go around the country and then ask those communities where the blocks have been built to find out when they were completed and commissioned. We have argued and we finish more. They continue to say that they came and finish more. We have asked this question on the floor of Parliament. The Minister himself has come. He has not been able to answer satisfactorily. And we continue to indicate, as I said earlier, that their own first Minister for Education, who today is the running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, sat on a radio station in Accra. But when he took over from Nana Pokwadimai, who is also our running mate, that 36 E-blocks have been completed. Even that, we are contesting that number as being on the low side.
All right. Dr. Apak, pleasure talking to you, and he is the Member of Parliament for Bulsa North and then also a Deputy ranking on the Education Committee in Parliament.
Meanwhile, the E-block community school at Yameriga in the Talensi district of the Upper East region will no longer be used for the purpose it was created. At 45% complete, regional authorities have decided to convert the structure into a college of education. Tanko Mohamed Rabiu filed this report.
Structure was originally meant to provide the Talensi district another senior high school. This was to provide more junior high school graduates in the area an opportunity to gain access to senior high school. Work on the project stalled after the NDC lost power in 2016. In 2022, the former Upper East Regional Minister, Stephen Yakubu, together with the Talensi District Assembly officials, visited the project site and made a promise to convert the school to a college of education in order to train more teachers in the region. In 2015, President Mahama commissioned the first of 200 community day schools, promising to construct 200 in all across the country, but only about 29 was completed. The objective was to improve the quality of education, expand access and equity in secondary education, and to reduce the cost of secondary education on parents in deprived communities. During the last campaign visit by the Vice President, the Talensi Constituency leadership reiterated for the district to have a college of education, citing the uncompleted E-block structures. A visit to the project site revealed some ongoing works. Representatives of the NPP and NDC sparred over how the structure should be utilized.
We were expecting the NPP government, as soon as they resume office, they will go back to site and complete the work for the good people of Talensi. Unfortunately, in 2016, all what they said was that the school was sited in the bush. In 2020, that was the sale campaign message they peddled. So we were shocked to the marrow of our bones when Timothy Bawumia visited Talensi, the vice president. He did say that they are going to convert the school to a college of education. And that is why we are saying that this policy or this proposal is stolen from the NDC.
John Dramani Mahama is a failed government during his tenure. If you look at the 47,940 total voters who are currently voting in Talensi, giving them the Teachers Training College is the best. If you look at the Eastern Zone, we have the Bewa Teachers Training College. If you look at the Western Zone, we have St. John Bosco Teachers Training College. And His Excellency, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, saying that they are bringing that one to the Central Zone, which is going to serve for the Bonoboto Zone. At least it is a good call.
In a related development, the Coalition of Concerned Teachers says the completion of stalled educational projects should be non-negotiable. The teacher union appears worried over the habit of beginning the construction of new educational infrastructure projects, whilst the ones started by previous government are left uncompleted.
One challenge we have in this country is that sometimes governments award contracts or they sign contracts and they begin when they know very well that they will not be able to complete. At the same time, they do so many things at the same time. The community day school, for example, tens of them were started at the same time. Instead of we say that, okay, we are focusing on 20 from start to finish, but we start like 50, 100 at the same time, when we know very well that we cannot complete all. It is a challenge. Another big challenge in the larger political landscape in Ghana is that when a new government comes, they always want to do something that will be credited to them than going back into history to continue and finish what predecessors could not finish. So it is something we as citizens in this country, as unions, we do not agree and accept. Why should educational infrastructure be a challenge when we have so many uncompleted educational projects all over the place that we have ignored and we are building new ones, for example? So government should find money and complete those educational infrastructures, because after all, it is not NDC that is going to occupy it, but the Ghanaian child.
And on the back of issues regarding educational infrastructure, government's investment in these kinds of structures, especially in rural communities, has been a subject of concern in recent times. The non-existence of accommodation facilities in deprived communities have compelled many teachers to leave schools in deprived districts, creating a huge deficit. The Gadokope School in the Kwewu Afram Plains South District in the Eastern region is currently faced with the same situation as teachers posted to the school struggle for decent accommodation. Stanley Niblewu presents the details in the following report.
Education is a powerful tool to shape the world. However, in Ghana, teachers who are major stakeholders in education go through difficult times to deliver tuition services to pupils. Teachers posted to schools in hinterland communities mostly become stranded and eventually retreat because there are no accommodation facilities for them. That is the situation Abdullahi Asiedu is confronted with. Asiedu, a resident of Tamale, was posted to Gadokope, a semi-island community 3 years ago after the Ghana Education Service realized that his service is needed by the community for the revival of the public basic school there.
When I came here, I have to revamp the school. Because the school started maybe in the 90s, and sometime ago it get closed down. So they posted me here as the first teacher again to start the school. So initially when I came here, the school was very bushy. You can see that so many trees here. I have to go around in the houses to the parents and talk to them that I'm the new teacher here in the community again. They have to come out and support me so that we can see how we can put back the school up so that we can have so many kids in the school.
Asiedu became the only teacher in the school, handling 6 classes for more than a year. He was drenched in energy to professionally execute his passion, but the non-availability of accommodation for him nearly caused him to abandon post. After days of sleeping in a church, a resident sacrificed his room for Asiedu to be accommodated. At Gadokope, houses are built according to family sizes, so there are no surpluses to meet the accommodation needs of other people outside of the family circle. The accommodation Asiedu now inhabits has developed defects in the walls, while the thatch roofing has perforations. The rainy season presents a difficult situation of sleepless nights for Asiedu following the leakage of the thatch roof.
This zone is a raining community. All the time, 2 to 3 days, you experience rain here. It means that all the time I have to stand like this. When it's raining all the time, I have to stand. Or immediately I'm seeing clouds. I have to run to the house, pack my things, put it aside whilst I'm teaching. Even if I'm teaching, I have to run to the house, pack my things, put it aside, and still washing it. Just to make sure that my certificates are safe. Just to make sure that maybe my clothes are safe, so that I can get another better dress and come to school the next day. If not, everything will be messed up.
Scorpions are also frequent in his abode. A second teacher posted to Gadokope to complement teaching efforts last year was forced to retreat because there was no accommodation facility for him after lurking around for a week.
They have to provide accommodation for a teacher when they posted him to the community. He was here in the community for the first time, and the accommodation was not ready.
The workload, coupled with discomforting accommodation situation, tend to weigh down on Asiedu's passion. Back in class, teaching and learning are done under harsh conditions. Furniture are non-existent in multi-grade held classrooms, limiting performance of academic work on the floor. Broken pieces of furniture, supported by cement blocks, serve classes 3 and 4 pupils in first-come, first-served fashion. Asiedu's new colleague, Rhoda, from the central region, accepted to teach at Gadokope after her husband was transferred there for evangelism.
Letter O sound. Letter O sound.
She's already overwhelmed by the plight teachers in rural communities go through.
We are only 2. It's not helping. At times you'll be very sick and you have to come because you are very tired. Sometimes I just sit on the floor with them. They've been putting teachers here, but when they put them here, because we don't have teachers, bungalows here, they just go back. You'll be sleeping and bats will be moving in and out. I feel sad.
The situation is widespread in the country. It is clear that government's investment in educational infrastructure, especially in schools in underserved communities, must be relooked at, as the prevailing situations there do not foster good environment to enable teachers give of their best. Currently, the Kwahu Afram Plains North and South districts have teacher deficits of over 1,500. The Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, wants investment in educational infrastructure, especially in schools in rural communities, to sustain teachers' interest for improved learning outcomes.
You see, we unions, we have our limits. To me, everywhere that I go, one of my campaign that I do is that if the government is seriously need the teachers, like if seriously he needs the school and the teachers, there should be a policy, part of the educational policy, that wherever a school is built, they attach bungalows, especially in the villages. You build a school, you attach bungalow. You see that every school that the NGOs will build, they do those things. But the schools that the government will build, they will just put the school building there, bam, without furniture, nothing, not even to talk about where the teachers will sleep. So after building the school, and we have not provided any accommodation for the teacher, where should they stay to come and teach?
Stanley Nibleu, TV3 News, Gadokope, Afram Plain South.
Still on education, the waiting period for basic education certificate examination leavers to transition to senior high school always comes with uncertainties. For some, it presents an opportunity to demonstrate remarkable resilience and maturity. Safa Bahene has been interacting with some individuals and families to understand how they manage this critical time.
Meet Benedict Anate, a fresh BECE graduate who has taken on significant family responsibilities. Since she came home, doing household chores in the company of her little sister has become a routine. Ever since her father passed on, her now sick mother has become the breadwinner. She recounts her experience during the examination and expresses her confidence in her results.
They were very difficult, but then not all of them. Maths, for instance, and career tech, they were very difficult for me. I'm confident I'll get 6.
She shares with us her plans during this waiting period, as well as other students.
I want to go to Wesley Girls at Cape Coast and then study art to be a nurse in future. I'm helping my mother to roast corn. I just want maybe small work that I will do.
I believe in myself that I will let my parents be proud of me and all my family. I'm expecting like 6 to 15. I want to be a footballer. I will start going to training.
Me, I like drawing school. If my father can send me to drawing school, I can go to there. I help my grandmother to sell kinky.
The BECE is a significant milestone for many students in Ghana to reset. It presents a period where school leavers learn a trade, employed by relatives or other employers to earn money. This period can also be challenging, especially for some young girls who become victims of teenage pregnancy while experimenting or fall prey to sex predators. The support and guidance of families at this time play a crucial role in shaping their future paths. My child will be pursuing his secondary education. His father and myself are making plans to that effect.
We have planned to let him continue his education, even though he will help me with house chores. I don't agree with him on the football path.
When my daughter finished the BECE, instead of staying home doing nothing, I enrolled her in an hairdressing school where she studied how to do hairdressing and how to do beads and those things because she will be going out of the country.
When they finished, they stay home for a period. But most of the secondary schools around organize classes and prepare them for XX. So that's what I did for my kids. You look around the secondary schools which are closer to you, and then you look for those classes and then you engage it. Just as they go to school in the morning and they come.
Executive Director of the Child Right International, Bright Apia, said policies must be formulated to regulate the waiting period.
And you look at the kind of system that we have, there's a strict laws that protect the engagement of children, especially when it comes to work. So we have what we call the light work, and then we have a work that children would do that would also constitute some kind of hazardous activities. The waiting period is very long for our children, so there is a way that the state must also reduce that waiting period for our children. And elsewhere, you realize that some corporate organizations would open windows for children who have completed a certain level of education to be engaged, either through learning or to also learn some kind of handwork. But We don't have such a structured system in Ghana, so it makes it very difficult. The state must be deliberate about what exactly we want to do between the GHS and then the secondary. We need to also create an environment where the transition from the GHS to the secondary will be very smooth. So is either we remove the barrier of the examination so that the transition will be smooth. So immediately you finish GHS, we will create an avenue for you to enter a secondary school.
The BECE waiting period is a critical period for Ghanaian students as it affords them the opportunity to reset. But without proper regulation, this transitional moment risks becoming a breeding ground for distraction. Safwa Boahine, TV3 News, Accra.
Welcome to your Election Command Center. Let's delve into some political stories. The New Patriotic Party's presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has emphasized that the country's development depends on digitization and he said this during a rally at Akuapem Mampong in the eastern region. He urged voters to support him in the upcoming elections to advance the country's digital transformation.
The event, dubbed Ophir Walk with Dr. Bawumia, drew hundreds of enthusiastic party members and executives from local to the national levels, with some music industry figures in attendance. Dr. Bawumia highlighted numerous achievements in the digital sector and made a case as to why Ghanaians should back his ambitious digital transformation plan to accelerate the nation's development.
President. We present solar power generation of electricity to reduce the cost of electricity in Ghana. We did 2,000 megawatts of solar power. Every kind of generation makes so. Now the cost of electricity above by 50%. Now avoir yenina.
The NPP parliamentary candidate for Akropong Constituency, Ayisha underscored the party's social and economic policies, arguing that they have positively impacted the citizenry more.
President Kufuor free maternal care, under free maternal care. And under Kufuor, they were the first beneficiary of the free SHS. So what it means is that anytime an NPP administration, they look into the future.
And our former President John Dramani Mahama has launched a scathing attack on the ruling NPP, accusing it of a deliberate ploy to plunder the resources of the country. In his first commentary on the controversial Ejapade document and its coincidental implementation by the government, John Dramani Mahama wonders how a fiction would become real in its implementation. Aquaculture has the following report from Boku.
Fabricated document entitled
President Akufo-Addo on Thursday reacted to the document circulating on social media alleging a scheme by some individuals within the New Patriotic Party to annex state assets to some individuals. Similarly, the Ochehino Saji from Mwete of Foripeni last Saturday also reacted at an Achimbe Buakwa Council meeting in Chebi, rubbishing the claims. Commencing his Upper East regional tour from the Bokunaba's palace, John Mahama says the NPP has its plans all hatched, charging Ghanaians to rise up to the occasion and kick the NPP out of power. The NDC flag bearer hinted that the situation will be worse with another term for the NPP in office.
But even if it's fabricated, the implementation is not fabricated. Because everything that is written in that document has been implemented. So if really somebody sat and fabricated that document, then the person can really read the minds of people. Because how they could have written that document and read the minds of Nana Akufo-Addo and his family, that this is what they were going to do, that person is a proper creative writer.
On the specific promises, he affirmed his resolve to complete all abandoned projects, but focusing more on returning lasting peace to Boku. For years, the Boku Naba has on many occasions appealed to John Mahama to assist in the creation of a new region.
And so I told my father that there are some constitutional provisions that we need to look at. There are some requirements that we need to satisfy. And that is, first, a petition must be submitted to the president of the country, and the president of the country must set up a commission of inquiry. The commission of inquiry must look at the petition, do the feasibility study, and make sure that it is viable to have a region. And then after that, it has to go to a referendum. And so those are the constitutional requirements that need to be gone through. But you can be sure that you have my support, and that I feel that, yes, it is justified that we have a region here in this area.
Later, the entourage of the NDC flag bearer held a mammoth rally in Widana, charged supporters of the party to come out in their numbers to rescue the country. The flag bearer, in a campaign mood, had visited 5 communities: Boku, Garu, Tumpani, Pusiga, among others.
Idan Kaduba, 8 years, almost 8 years in the MPP Sukazo Chiki Mulki.
There's a firm assurance that he will leave no stone unturned in his quest to wrestle power from the MPP. Aquaculture, TV3 News, Widana, Pusiga.
It's now time for Constituency Watch.
In Constituency Watch this evening, the December 7 elections will be a contest of development and achievement in the Kwewu-Afram Plains North constituency of the Eastern region. Stanley Niblewo reports that roads, education, high cost of living and social development policies will form the basis for voters of the next government and a representation in the legislature.
The Kwewu-Afram Plains North constituency is surrounded by the Volta Lake with many scattered islands. It has Donkor as its capital, and the vast availability of the lake resources present fishing opportunities to the inhabitants aside farming. In the last elections, the constituency played host to a total of 41,765 voters. However, it is highly rated among the deprived and underdeveloped areas in the Eastern region. Social amenities and infrastructure needed to improve quality of life are non-existent, periodically sparking agitations. Feeder roads connecting the district capital to adjoining communities are in very deplorable state. The poor state of another road linking Kwewu-Afram Plains North and South constituencies has been the contention of constituents and headache to commuters. Electorates say their votes in the December 7 polls will be informed by the prevailing state of road infrastructure.
If it could be accepted, our appeal, whoever is in a position to make this road to be a very useful road, that they can convey food stuff from here. It's really heartbreaking that these people are being treated as if they don't vote, as if they are not part of the country, they are not citizens. It's really bad.
Mahama ne time oba ha say hanu anim ha ya na ne kai den e ko tehwe ye o share ye bossy o ko aba any 1 month or the machine ba begu so o mba be ye kwan no ya hwe nanim e no de akọ pension ya ne o san pa ufuro yo.
Riders of motorized tricycles, also known as pragia or mama can do, is the reliable form of intra-commuting. But the current state of road networks in the area has compelled the riders to impose exorbitant charges.
Secondary petrol so
cost of living is also high, even though the area remains one of the food baskets of the country. The situation is even worse in the island communities.
Apart from
Electorates at Madagascar, one of the islands, are concerned about the continuous neglect by politicians. Construction of its school infrastructure has been abandoned while other amenities are non-existent. Voters on this island are eager to partake in the December 7 polls, but they insist that the quality of their lives will inform their votes on the election day. The Afram Plains North constituency has been the stronghold of the opposition National Democratic Congress since the commencement of the Fourth Republic.
NDC stronghold. NDC bedi so no ye hunu buntu bia enka MPP ba ye nka mo so mo ye biribi na moye o mo so ba ye no so ye hunu re.
The New Patriotic Party is seeking to win the seat in the December 7 elections, but this will require a lot of work to make this happen. Ahead of the December polls, the National Democratic Congress is maintaining the incumbent MP, Betty Crosby Mensah, while the New Patriotic Party is presenting Esiama K. Enim. A third parliamentary aspirant, Peli Walasi, is contesting as an independent candidate. Peli Walasi was a card-bearing member of the National Democratic Congress who broke away due to unresolved internal wrangling. He has since been suspended indefinitely from the party. Stanley Nibleu, TV3 News, Kwewu Afram Plains North.
And now President Akufo-Addo has rejected strongly the notion that Ghana was founded by one man. In his address to the nation to mark Founders Day, which falls on Sunday, August 4, President Akufo-Addo said Ghana will honor the resilience of the founders.
Recognize that true freedom could only be achieved through political action and the mobilization of the masses. They worked tirelessly to educate and inspire the people, organizing rallies and meetings to raise awareness about the need for independence. Their message resonated with Ghanaians from all walks of life, sparking a movement that would eventually lead to the liberation of our nation, encompassing the birth of the Convention People's Party, CPP, which led us on the final lap of our journey to freedom. Tomorrow, as we commemorate these historical milestones, we pay tribute to successive generations of Ghanaians who contributed to the attainment of our national independence. It is most appropriate that we have chosen this date to honor their sacrifices, their resilience, and their strong dedication to the ideals of freedom and justice. I speak to you this evening, rejecting completely the notion that Ghana was founded by one man. Whilst Kwame Nkrumah's contributions to our independence are undeniable and unassailable, it is important to acknowledge for our self-respect that the struggle for our nation's freedom was a collective effort spanning several generations. The formation of the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, the British West African National Congress, jointly sponsored by Joseph Casely Hayford and Thomas Hatton Mills, the United Gold Coast Convention, the work of countless unsung heroes, and the tenacious spirit of our people all played vital parts in bringing us to freedom and independence. Kwame Nkrumah, with his charismatic visionary leadership, was undoubtedly a major actor in the final lap of our journey to independence. And that is why, despite the several unfortunate things that happened after independence under his watch, Parliament in 2019 decided to memorialize his date of birth as Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day, the only Ghanaian so far to be so honored in our history.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo has indicated that the government, through the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture, will train 10,000 youth in aquaculture to create 60,000 jobs. The president launched the Aquaculture and Food and Jobs program at R&B farms at Gomwa Nsuaim in the central region.
Speaking at the event, the president said the government is committed to making fish more accessible and affordable for every Ghanaian. He also commended R&B farms for collaborating with government to create over 60,000 jobs for the youth, where each of them will receive 38,700 cedis as seed capital, free fingerlings and pond. The Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture, Mrs. Hawa-Kumsin, says the ministry is going to provide 5 million fingerlings to the 10,000 youth who are going to be trained in aquaculture for food and jobs policy, with a belief that the policy would reduce unemployment rate.
This is to empower people and create jobs. So we are going to give out police, fingerlings, fish feed for the trainers to take back to their homes and do it. Aquaculture or fish farming is something that you can do it in your own house. I always call it backyard farming.
The Chief Executive Officer for R&B Farms, Richard Aquaculture, said their mission is to create 10 million jobs for the youth in the next 20 years.
Beyond government, we are also talking to international donors so that the program will go on. I was in Germany last year, and there are people who are coming very fast to come and support the program.
And now Affinity has launched a new campaign aimed at providing more inclusive banking services through their Affinity mobile app. The campaign launch event held at the company's headquarters was attended by industry leaders and stakeholders.
In revolutionizing banking accessibility, the Affinity campaign launch marks the beginning of a new era in banking, where accessibility and innovation go hand in hand. Speaking at the launch, Affinity CEO highlighted the driving force behind the campaign and emphasized the role of technology in bridging the gap between traditional banking services and modern customer needs.
So the main objective of this event is to introduce Affinity as a brand to the Ghanaian market. At Affinity, we pride ourselves with designing tech-driven products whose main objective is to provide affordable and accessible financial services to individuals, but most importantly to MSMEs.
The business development manager elaborated on the campaign's strategic aspects.
For Affinity, we are here to serve all of you. We have a fantastic app. On the app, it's just like banking in your hands. You could do your normal transfers to the Momo, to all the telcos, to any other bank, and it's the best that you can have in Ghana.
The launch of the Affinity campaign signifies a new era in banking, combining accessibility with innovation. Affinity remains dedicated to its mission of promoting financial inclusion and empowering users with the tools they need to achieve their financial goals.
This is News 360. There's more news right after this.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Whenever you fly to space or take your first step as baby, Soft Care always stays with you.
New Soft Care Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long. Offers you the most effective protection during your space journey. Softer. Protect your leap.
75 days since the last day of last season. We are ready to all again. Brilliant! Just brilliant! That is quite something!
Watch all the Premier League, La Liga and Serie A games on DSTV Compact for only 300 cedis a month.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Billy Shen, and on to the Olympic Games. After early exits in swimming and high jump for Ghana at Paris 2024, the attention moved to 100 meters where sprint duo Benjamin Azamati and Abdul Rashid Saminu were set to compete in the
The pressure was on him in Paris to qualify on his second attempt, and this time he made it. The 26-year-old finished second in Heat 1 with a time of 10.08 seconds, keeping his hopes of possibly winning the medal alive.
More about representing and inspiring the young athlete back home. Anytime I put on the jersey, just happy to do my best. So that was all this morning, coming in here, having that back on mind to make the whole nation proud. My first outing in the Olympics, I got out in the heat, and so I made it a point to come out here and go into the semi-final. It's all about thinking about the rounds.
Abdul Rashid Saminu, in his first ever Olympic Games, will join his compatriot at the semis with his time of 10.06 seconds, finishing third behind Nigeria's Kanyinsola Ajayi and Italy's Marcel Jacobs. The semis will provide a much tougher test for the Ghanaian duo. Azamati will go up against heavy favorite Noah Niles, Jamaica's highly rated sprinter Oblique Sevilla, and 2023 African Games gold medalist Emmanuel Essemi, amongst others. His season best of 10.05 seconds is the lowest in Heat 1. For Saminu, he will have to beat the world's fastest 100-meter sprinter this year, Kishane Thompson, Kenya's sprint king Ferdinand Omanyala, and USA's Fred Kelly in Heat 3. Saminu's season best of 10.02 seconds is only above Thailand's Puripol Bunsen. Azamati and Saminu would possibly need to run below 10 seconds to stand a chance of reaching the final. Can they do it?
Still on the Olympic Games, St. Lucian sprinter Julian Alfred has clinched the gold medal in the women's 100 meters, beating hot favorite Sha'Carri Richardson in the final. Alfred recorded a blistering time of 10.72 seconds, becoming the first ever athlete from St. Lucia to win a medal. Richardson finished second with 10.87 seconds, and her compatriot Melissa Jefferson took bronze. American gymnast Simone Biles won her third Olympic gold of the Paris Games when she took the vault title in emphatic fashion. After helping the USA to women's team gold and then taking the all-round title, the 27-year-old reclaimed another of the titles she first won at the Rio 2016, having lost them in Tokyo when she pulled out of several events. Boxer Imani Khelif, whose gender eligibility has been called into question, was in tears after guaranteeing a welterweight medal at the Paris Olympics by beating Hungarian Luca Anna Hamori. The Algerian is one of two boxers competing in Paris despite being banned from last year's World Championships by the International Boxing Association after she was reported to have failed gender eligibility tests, a situation which has sparked huge controversy. USA and Spain's women's teams have booked places in the semi-finals of the football tournament. USA defeated Japan 1-0 while Spain defeated Colombia 4-2 on penalties. Moving on to local football now, 2024 Incentrate Cup ended with two big games today at the Incentrate Sports Arena in Samra with Samatex, Legon City's Nations FC and Insantreman all competing. The preseason tournament aimed at preparing clubs for the new campaign has become more of a challenge than a friendly. MG Sports reporter Solomon Amankwa was there and he filed his report.
Sports Arena, day 2 of the Incentrate Cup came to an end on an interesting note. FC Samatex held Nations FC to a 1-1 draw. It was a game that was to determine who gets the maximum point and obviously take a step to winning the title. Earlier, Insantreman FC beat Legon Cities by 5-1, meaning Legon Cities had played 2 matches without a win. Speaking to the head coach of FC Samatex, Nuruddin Amadou, He believes his team is not ready yet, but he's doing everything within his powers to make it ready for the CAF Champions League.
Always mistakes. There's no perfect game. Every match you play, there are some lapses, but as you go along, you try to minimize the errors. Then it means you are getting there, but there's no perfect match. So the issue of comfortability is not here. Only that we are hoping that we should do better than what we are seeing. But so far, so good. Going forward, whatever be the situation, a few days that are left, we need to work hard and see how, because we are going away first, so that we can present a very formidable side that will stand the test of time.
Razak Simpson is the captain of Nations FC. He believes that they've had a very good tournament. They would want to win the tournament so that they can start the Ghana Premier League on a high note.
For me, I have to build on what I did last season to get to be great, like to be there, to be high level there. And for the results, yes, if we win this tournament, it will be a plus for us. For me personally, it will be a plus for me.
That brings an end to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Billy Shed. Up next on the bulletin is entertainment and international news.
The news segment is powered by 3 Entertainment.
In entertainment this evening, Afro dancehall sensation Kush Keef has dedicated his latest tune, Igobi, to inspire the youth to never give up hope as they pursue their dreams. Ahead of the 2024 elections, the versatile talent has advised the youth to resist attempts by self-seeking politicians to use them to foment trouble and perpetuate violence.
Life can be a challenging journey that requires strength, resilience, and perseverance to keep moving forward. In times of difficulty, music has the power to motivate and inspire listeners to keep going. Versatile Afro dancehall artist and music producer Kush Keef's single, Igobi, explores the theme of not giving up and urges the youth to hold on to the belief that they will succeed.
Igobi, every day. The process things go be not today or not tomorrow. Straight from zero up to hero. Pray to Jaja every minute.
There are more ghetto youths that are facing crisis, but like coming out making it is very hard. Through this music, someone out there who is timid, who can't find himself, through this music, that person will really find himself. It's a motivational song for the youth.
The song's uplifting lyrics touch on the struggles and triumphs of life and at the same time captures the spirit of determination and hope. Kush Keef, born Roland Osei-Adofo, teamed up with Ghetto Youth President Raskuku to birth the tune Igobi. Staying on the theme of resilience, Raskuku fires off rounds of motivational vocals, encouraging the youth to keep moving.
In international news this evening, as the End Hunger protests enter day 3 in Nigeria, many citizens have criticized President Bola Tinubu for not addressing the nation amid nationwide outcry for good governance. In the face of severe economic hardships, many Nigerians are struggling to afford basic necessities. In response, youths began protests on Thursday, continuing into Friday and Saturday across Abuja, Lagos, Kaduna, Kano, Rivers, and other regions, demanding an end to hunger and poor governance. Although the protest has been relatively peaceful in Abuja and some other parts, curfew has been declared by some governors in states that recorded violence and looting. We're going on to Zoom now, where we have Marvelous Obumanu. He's a journalist in Nigeria. He's joining us from Abuja. Marvelous, hopefully we can connect to you this evening. Tell us, what is the current situation in Nigeria?
Well, good evening, viewers. The tension is a bit apprehensive here in Nigeria, especially the nation's capital, Abuja, where, of course, you know, this is 72 hours ever since the protest began. It's been relatively peaceful, except for a few cases where the protesters would want to leave because there was the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, got a court order for the protesters to only converge at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, which is the only place they are allowed to stay. So sometimes the protesters would want to move away from that particular designated place, just to find their way into the city center. But that is where they usually have issues with the security personnel, because the security personnel had just one directive, not to allow the protesters move away from the Moshood Abiola Stadium. And the protesters are saying they are not athletes, they are not going there to play football. So why is the government restricting them only at the National Stadium? They want to move into the town to show they are protesting. So immediately they want to move, the security agencies will start, shooting tear gas and canisters, and sometimes, like yesterday, live ammunition, where some of the protesters had to scamper for safety, and some journalists, some of them entered into the bush and got scores of injuries and all. But business activities have started gradually picking up as of today, because we could see that some of the roads that were
do we know
if
can you hear me, Marvelous? Do we
Yes,
know
I
if
can
there
hear
have
you
been
loud and
some
clear.
deaths so far?
Yeah, according to Amnesty International, we've recorded about 17 deaths across the country. From Abuja to Kano to Maiduguri, we've recorded 17 deaths. In Abuja, we've recorded one alone. So, I mean, because, of course, we can also deduce the fact that there has been violence in some states where these protests are ongoing, like in Kano State, where some migrants hijacked the protest, started, looting government warehouses and government properties, including private properties. So that was the fear of the government when they said they didn't want the protesters to be on the streets. The government is saying that they've held the youth, that the youth should go back, that they've held them. And
Marvelous, how about that 24-hour curfew? Which states are currently under that curfew?
Right, we'll have Jigawa State, we'll have Kano State, we'll have Borno State, but recently Borno State eased the curfew after some security assessment. There are some states that have still continued with their curfew, but Borno State has eased the curfew a bit.
Right, Marvelous, would have to get back to you in subsequent bulletins. We are pressed for time right now, but yeah, Marvelous is with, he's a journalist in Abuja. He's currently joining us to give us more details on the protest in Nigeria, and so far he says 18 people have died. But that's all from us on News 360. You can find more on 3news.com. My name is Ayisha Yakubu-Halid.
And I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Have a good evening.
Why? The sun come to play.
It's bright like you.
Why? Why to play all day?
You are growing.
Why? Do I like to hold you closer very near? Why do we always choose self-care?
Because you get to sleep soundly.
Soft care